And now to help us understand the legal weight of the first witness's testimony, we are now joined by law professor and constitutional law book author, Attorney Jennifer Reyes. Attorney Jen, welcome back to Morning Matters.
Hi, good morning, ladies. It's nice to see you again, although virtually this time.
Good morning.
Always good to have you here on the show, Attorney. But before we talk about why the testimony of the first witness is very important, I wanted to get your thoughts on day 2 of the impeachment trial. It was quite eventful, to say the least. But what stood out to you? What were the highlights for you on day 2?
Oh, definitely the now famous or infamous objections of the defense counsel for VP Duterte. But it was quite an exciting day, right? An exciting day for the prosecution and the defense. And we can truly see that both parties or the counsels of both parties are well prepared. But that particular moment, yung batuhan or pagdedebate ni Attorney Narvasa and Attorney Ligutan, yun ang naging kaabang-abang sa mga manonood. And para na rin sa akin.
Well, taking off from what you said about the objections, no, the defense objected repeatedly. What was the defense was trying to do here or at that particular moment para mas ma-educate natin yung public, diba? Is this a normal process? Go ahead.
Yes, po. This is a normal process, even in ordinary court proceedings. Of course, every lawyer can object to the opposing counsel, but of course, this is a double-edged sword, in my opinion. You know, you have a right to object to what the opposing counsel is saying, and of course, if the purpose of the defense is to stall perhaps or to delay somehow the trial, then you will be successful with respect to that. However, if you will see, it can also quite, become, for lack of a better term, irritating in a sense that the focus is being removed from the substantial questions which the witness needs to answer. So it's normal. However, if such right is of course not used properly, then it can backfire. Ang magiging opinion dyan, karamihan siguro ng ating mga kababayan, syempre kahit papaano, maka-question kung bakit object na lamang ng object.
What was stopping or what were the grounds for Senate presiding officer Chis Escudero, for not saying, it's out of order, it's too much?
That is a good question. And I would like also to take this opportunity, of course, to first to commend Senator Chis Escudero as the presiding officer. We all, witness that he truly has the, what do you call this? The sufficient or the ample knowledge with respect to this kinds of proceedings. However, yun lang ang medyo nakulangan ako, Miss Angela. Ang nangyari kasi kahapon, nung una exciting eh. 'Di ba? Nung first part, nagbabalitaktakan, pero it became tedious during the latter part na itong defense na yung co-control nung flow ng trial. So I expected Senator Chis Escudero to have, been more proactive in reminding the counsels of both parties not to abuse the said right to object to such statements by the adversary or by the opposing counsel. So there's still room for improvement. I hope, the Senate team or the committee handling these rules will realize that mahalaga itong prosesong ito, pero baka mabore. Baka maano na yung mga tao kasi biruin nyo, unang witness pa lamang ito, napakatagal na. We have more than 90 trial dates for this proceeding. So dapat ay maging proactive. Sila dapat ang mag-set ng tone, sila dapat ang mag-set ng boundaries at rules at hindi lamang parang mere observer sa debate ng mga abogado.
That's interesting, attorney, no? Because yesterday we also spoke to a political strategist, Alan Herman, and he was saying this impeachment trial is actually a battle for attention. And that is the challenge for the prosecution, to keep this trial interesting, to keep it in the national conversation, because if it gets too tedious, it gets too boring, then that would be advantageous to the defense. But now let's talk about the first witness. Was presented yesterday, NBI agent John Mark Calilong. How important was his testimony, and what did you think of the strategy of the prosecution?
It was a great strategy. First off, I now, I now know the reason why they opted to present the fourth article of impeachment, the alleged grave threats of VP Duterte. Why? This is a strong opening argument because itong artikulong ito, hindi mo kailangan ng madaming witnesses dito. Hindi mo kailangan ng madaming dokumento. The video itself, it actually speaks for itself, right? And in addition to that, the prosecution efficiently chose to present not just an ordinary witness, but an expert witness to prove that the said video was not tampered with. It was authentic. It was not, it was even unadulterated, to the point of establishing that ito talaga yung mga sinabi ni Vice President Duterte sa naturang video. So it set the tone already to the public that the prosecution is not here to play games. The prosecution is utterly serious in proving to the Filipino people that their arguments are strong. Na ang kanilang unang witness ay hindi lamang nagbabase sa hearsay or mere opinion, but his expert opinion. Under the rules on evidence po kasi, as an ordinary rule, ang opinion ay inadmissible as evidence. However, if it is spoken or if it is testified to by an expert witness, then it has great probative value. So good strategy from the prosecution.
But attorney, at this stage, has the prosecution merely authenticated the video, or has it already begun proving the impeachable offense itself? Diba? Parang what did the prosecution need to establish through their witness yesterday, which is NBI agent John Mark Calilong?
Well, as to the authentication of the video, I am confident that yesterday they were able to establish that indeed it was an authentic video, it was an authentic recording. As to the question on whether or not it is sufficient to be considered as an impeachable offense, it is too soon to tell. However, as a guide to our countrymen, tatandaan po natin, no, ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng betrayal of public trust? In the case of Gonzales versus Ochoa, sinabi na po ng Korte Suprema, when you say betrayal of public trust as a ground for impeachment, these are acts which are less than criminal, or it can even be less than criminal, meaning hindi kailangan na ito ay magko-constitute ng isang krimen under the revised penal code or penal statutes. But this must be an act which constitutes gross unfaithfulness to or against public trust, tyrannical abuse of power, or any act which is of such gravity as to be tantamount to bad faith. So yon ang pwedeng maging guide ng mga senator judges at ng publiko na doon sa tanong na ito ba ay betrayal of public trust, yung di umano'y pagbabanta ni VP Duterte sa buhay ng Pangulo at ng kanyang asawa at kay Mr. Romualdez.
Attorney, another discussion yesterday was the prosecution just wanted to play the 2-minute excerpt from the press conference, and the defense wanted to play the entire 2-hour, 20-something minute video. From a legal standpoint, what is the significance of this argument?
Well, of course, for the prosecution side, they also want to, expedite the said argument so that they can move forward to their other articles, to their other arguments, and to their other witnesses. On the other hand, on the part of the defense, honestly, I don't see any, plausible reason why they still want the full video to be played because ano pa bang context? Ano pa bang context ang hinihingi natin? I believe even, non-lawyers would agree that hindi naman na kailangang i-play yung full video para malaman natin yung context. The 2 minutes or the 2 minutes and 18-second or 16-second video is sufficient. But of course, this will be subject to the discretion of the Senate impeachment court if they will play the said full video. In my opinion, there is no necessity for the playing of the full video. Baka mawalan pa ng gana yung mga kababayan nating manood at mabore at hindi na subaybayan ang pagpapatuloy ng impeachment trial na ito.
Well, today, attorney, is the third day already of the impeachment trial, and the defense will get a chance to cross-examine now the witness, John Mark Calilong, the NBI agent. What are your expectations there? And if you were part of the defense, what kind of counter-arguments can you come up with in this particular article of impeachment?
Well, actually, just a reminder also, because I've watched the video and of course the emotions of the lawyers are quite high. Mga tao rin naman ang mga abogado, right? That is why there were certain rules which were violated. There were certain statements which were hindi dapat sinabi or hindi dapat na nasabi doon sa trial na yon. So, if I were part of the defense team, I will focus on the substance of the cross-examination and I will not resort to, improper attacks or improper statements. However, that can also be a strategy kasi. But I just want to say that the defense needs to level up. The defense needs to level up. Why? Because yesterday, the prosecution through Attorney Ligutan truly established that they were so prepared. It was like watching a masterclass in litigation. And the prosecution was brilliant enough to choose the said lawyer to commence the said direct examination of their first witness. So to the defense team, level up, stick to the rules, stick to your prepared arguments so as to, enforce professionalism amongst your colleagues and the impeachment court, of course.
Well, attorney, what do you make of the some senators speaking yesterday during the impeachment trial, particularly Senator Alan Peter Cayetano? Others would say that it looked like he was assisting the defense to articulate what they wanted to do, what they wanted to say during the trial at some point. So do you share the same sentiment? And from a legal standpoint, is that even right to do?
Well, that is one of the tragedies, right? Or one of the disadvantages of allowing these senator judges to interrupt or to even issue statements while the counsels are conducting their direct examination or cross-examination. I know that it is not prohibited. It is allowed by the rules. But as early as now, maybe the Senate can, remedy this loophole or disadvantage because yun nga ang mangyayari. Imbis na ma-focus ang atensyon ng ating mga kababayan doon sa sinasabi ng witness at sa pagda-direct examination or cross-examination ng counsels, mas na i-instill sa kanila kung ano yung opinion or kung ano yung sinasabi ng mga individual senator judges. And of course, as to his statement, well, I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was just really concerned about all the parties concerned complying with the rules. Ako, dun din sa statement ni Senator Pia Cayetano, I actually agree with that. The councils must also be reminded na hindi pa tayo pwedeng magbigay ng mga closing statement or mga statements na similar to a conclusion of fact or a conclusion of law. So sa punto na yon, I agree with the senator judge as well. Kailangan ay maging maging fair din sa defense at maging fair sa prosecution. But then again, repasuhin or i-remedy pa ng Senate yung kanilang rules because the proceeding has been becoming tedious and boring. Dapat ay mag-focus sila doon sa sinasabi ng witnesses at hindi maging, avenue na naman ito para magkaroon ng political color ang impeachment trial.
Attorney, another incident that had people abuzz yesterday was even before day 2 of the impeachment trial started, we already saw Vice President Sara Duterte inside the Senate giving a one-liner to the media and then leaving. What do you make of this? Is it strategy? Is it please give us your assessment of that particular incident.
I am also actually baffled as to the reason why she went there and gave just a 5-minute press conference. But again, to give her the benefit of the doubt, baka naman yung ating vice presidente kumbaga, 'di ba? Nagbe-baby steps. Baka nagpa-practice na na okay. Kaya ko naman palang humarap dito sa loob ng Senado. Baka naman nagpa-practice na siya and we are hoping na umattend siya eventually sa kanyang impeachment trial doon na sa proper venue na sana ay nandun na siya sa loob mismo nung lugar kung saan nagko-conduct ng trial. Because I don't see any other reason. Kung ang kanyang purpose ay i-meet ang kanyang defense team, pwede naman niyang gawin after the busy day of her defense counsel defending her yesterday. So, and also, baka ang purpose niya din ay pakita rin naman sa supporters niya na talagang kaya naman niyang humarap sa Senado. Nakulangan nga lang ako, dapat ay sinagad niya na, pumasok na siya doon mismo sa venue para present siya sa mismong trial niya.
Attorneys, still on the Vice President, the prosecution seems to want to have her as a hostile witness in her own trial. Posible ba yun, Attorney? And what would stop the Vice President, if she were to become a hostile witness, from just invoking her right to self-incrimination?
Well, of course, if the rules of court, actually, it is explicitly stated under Resolution 39, the rules on impeachment trial, that the rules of court will, apply suppletorily. So kung ito ay i-invoke ng Senate Impeachment Court, in my humble opinion, no one can compel, actually, an accused in a proceeding like this to be a witness against himself or herself. That is a well-enshrined or ensconced principle under the Constitution. So tingnan natin ang magiging desisyon ng Senate Impeachment Court kung pagbibigyan ba nila itong hiling ng prosecution. Pero in my humble opinion, it would violate the right against self-incrimination of the accused if the rules of court will be suppletorily applied in this impeachment trial. Pero lambing ko kay VP Duterte, di ba? Huwag niya nang hintayin na magdesisyon pa ang Senate Impeachment Court. Lambing ko sa'yo, Madam, harapin niyo po yung impeachment trial na ito at makakabuti ito para sa supporters nyo and para sa buong bansa na naghihintay ng mga sagot nyo sa aligasyon na ito. And kung wala naman po kayo talagang ginawang masama at inosente kayo, napakadali po na harapin nyo kahit sino pa at kahit sino pang magagaling na abogado. Hindi kayo matitibag if you are truly innocent of the crimes thrown or the alleged crimes thrown at you.
Well, we will see if the Vice President will take your lambing. But on another question, Attorney Torreon and other lawyers have already asked the Supreme Court to halt the impeachment proceedings and have already asked the Supreme Court as well, or questioned the Supreme Court of the authority of Senator Jesus Cordero to preside the impeachment trial. So the question here is, can the Supreme Court intervene in an impeachment trial that is already underway?
In my humble opinion, that urgent manifestation filed by the said lawyer is a futile attempt. It is truly futile. Why? As early as the case of Bagila Jr. versus Alvarez, sabi ng Korte Suprema, when it comes to the Senate's internal rules, these rules are hardly permanent in character. May kapangyarihan ng Senado na hindi ito pansinin, i-modify ito, i-waive ito, or hindi ito sundin. Assuming arguendo that the Senate during the June 3, 2026 session violated its own rules, it's still within their power. Wala pa rin silang nilalabag. Unless there is a constitutional provision involved. But here in this case, ang inamyenda nila ay yung kanilang internal rules. So the Supreme Court, I am confident, will just, deny that said motion or will not act on it. Because what the Senate did was perfectly legal and was perfectly constitutional. So it is a futile attempt, that urgent manifestation with motion or whatsoever.
All right. Well, thank you as always for sharing your time and your insights with us. That was attorney Jennifer Reyes.